I like when things just all work out. So much fun. Awesome. So I just want to welcome everybody. I know we're a bit before right at the hour, but we are on YouTube, Facebook, and on Zoom. Hi, everybody. Tomorrow, we're going to keep going, but we won't be here. We're going to be somewhere else. And where the somewhere else is in a private Zoom or a private Facebook group where we will continue this process so you can get consistent energy experience and detachment and applying now. Because it's one thing to be aware of the 7 laws, and we're going to go through the 7th law today. I'm going to sip a tea. The law of polarity and as it relates to vices. And then we're going to learn how to implement that by understanding that when we have a vice, we're in the drama triangle with that vice. And what is the drama triangle? What are the roles that are in the drama triangle? How do we play that? So there's a lot that we're going to keep giving nuggets. Someone on Facebook, and I really appreciate that, said, Helen, and thank you for that, Helen, said, there's so much wisdom in these sessions. I've already played this again and will play on repeat throughout the day. So it's true. As you listen to these sessions, they're 30-minute sessions, and they will continue. These are available. The first 7 days have so much juice and enrichment and understanding that you don't even get the first time. And so things from the counselor, myself, or from somebody else making a comment, whatever that might be. Or you're just different today than you were, excuse me, a week ago, right? So go back and listen to them. Those of you that want to have more consistent touch points, joining the Vice Freedom Program is the way to go, because from tomorrow, January 8th, through the 30th, we're here live every day, going deeper and deeper by applying these. So I know some of you said that you're working on bringing in compassion and not judging, right? Whether you are in the program and you're doing that consistent work with us, or you, for whatever reason, don't join the program. And once you're in Vice, you're always in Vice. So we have this huge community here that has taken Vice freedom, I should say. You won't be in Vice freedom over and over and over again. And so you can always tap into what is now important for you to release. Because 1 year it might be, or one moment it might be, sugar. And then you might notice, wow, underneath the sugar, there's a lot of worry. And once I stopped eating so much sugar, I'm now realizing I've got this emotion of worry. Now, what do I do with that? Right? So worry is the vice that you can take through this entire process, because everything is energy. And the reason we reach for a vice in the first place is because our energy is out of alignment. Because if you think about who we really are, first of all, we're light, we're beings of light, we're cosmic light is who we really are, in a now physical body, as some people would say, a meat suit or biosuit, right? This is a physical container. And in that, we have our consciousness. So what's our consciousness? It's what we say, the words we use, and saying the words that are life-giving and are expanding and are coming from abundance also then leads into the second part of our consciousness, which is our thoughts. And our thoughts then feel good. And as our thoughts feel good, and we focus on something, that creates an image, which is like a perspective. It becomes a solidified belief, what we put energy in our minds. So what we're holding as a picture, that then creates energy of what we feel. So the felt sense, the feeling sense. And then, of course, that all leads to the actions that we take, whether it's reaching for something to make us feel, most of the time it's comforted. So truly, the tool, I hope each and every person that has been following us, that has been either in or out or listening to the recordings by locating, if you can at least connect with that energy on a consistent basis of compassion, then I will be thrilled. It will be so wonderful to see what you create in your life just from that new understanding. That compassion instead of judgment is the way to go. And that compassion instead of judgment will align you. Someone asked a question yesterday, and I appreciate this question. And I'll before we officially get going right at the hour, what's the difference between compassion and love? It's in the same color hue, if you will, or another way of thinking about it is that compassion allows you to neutralize out of lower level vibrations like worry. So when you find yourself worrying, you can then get in a space of feeling compassion, and that compassion, then you can open up, and that opens up to more abundance, more love, more expansion. So compassion is in the same hue, if you will. It's in the same note range, if you will. But compassion is like the opening of what could become possibility of love, or what is the possibility of that continued frequency. So it's like worry would be here, compassion is here, like if you're looking at it as stages or buckets, and then love is at the far end, because love is the highest vibration in the universe. So I just want to check in. Beth, can you hear the boulders rumbling at all? No? I love, these are the best headphones ever. Okay, I will never get paid by them, but they're Beats. If anybody ever, they're rustling boulders over there. So I'm happy that you all don't hear that. All right. Anyway, welcome to day 7 to the Vice Freedom Challenge. We are the last day here, so congratulate yourselves. Congratulations to each of you. It is amazing that you are here. I'm grateful that you are here, and today is the last day. And, to understand that we all need to, as humans, if we want to feel that we are deliberate creators of our lives, that we are energy masters of our lives, that we want to deliberately choose and work with our free will and choice, we need to work with law of attraction to create what we desire. And that means that the law of detachment works in harmony with all the other laws, including law of attraction. So it's all about faith. When we are in a state of detachment, like we talked about yesterday or in the last session, we have faith on that's a way to develop faith, because once you detach, now it's like, oh God, right? What do we attach to? Because we are physical human beings, and habits, rituals, those ground us, those help give us a sense of solidification, that feeling of all is well. That's what we like, those type of things. We like those type of symbols and rituals and those kind of or habits or behaviors, or knowing where we're going to be going. Some of us like that. Some of us, that gives us a very grounded, like warm, cozy feeling. And when we have that with a vice or with an energy such as worry, it's like, that's what we've been doing. That's what we know. It's not necessarily good for us, but it's like, but this is home. This is comfort, right? It hurts, but it hurts worse to not have something to hold on to. Well, that's where we want to attach, or we want to reconnect with something that feels better. And just by allowing yourself to feel the energy, the openness of faith, and opening up what the council calls your faith portal, which is your third eye, faith allows you, it's basically, what is faith? Because a lot of times people think of faith in the religious perspective. Faith is focusing on what you do want and knowing that all is well. It may not turn out exactly how you pictured in your mind, but if the energy, the essence, and I invite all of you to tap into that energy and essence that you created for New Year's Eve, that you are living into your day, remembering to, it's there for you, it's accessible, just that energy to connect with, you allow it in. And that's part of the continuity and the reminder and the consistency, that felt sense of it's there, let me breathe that in. But faith is focusing on that energy and knowing that it's there and of feeling it, allowing it to move into you. Well, how do you do that? How do you develop more faith that all really is well? Because you've detached from something that kind of gave you a little bit, it didn't feel quite good, but it's what you knew. It's an old tool. It's kind of like this. And I know all of you will know what I'm talking about. Have you ever gotten a new cell phone or a new computer? And you're used to the old computer, even though it's like really, really slow, or you're used to that old phone, even though you charge it and like 10 minutes later, it's, the battery's dead. Like you're used to that old phone. And even though there's like a lot of contrast with that old phone or that old computer, it's what you were used to. But then you get the new phone and you're like, oh my God, it's got so many more bells and whistles, and where did that go? And how, there's a process of learning. There's a process of getting acquainted with it. We're trying to figure out on the computer. I remember when I got my new computer and the Word documents, I was like, how do I mean, just the basic stuff. I couldn't figure out how to start, how to center, and because it wasn't all where it used to be. And I had to figure it out and look for the icons and all that, kind of like what I looked like when I went to go play piano and I couldn't remember what the notes were when I went to the piano. And then I went and got stickies for the piano chords so I could still learn. And I'm like, nope, nope. But it's uncomfortable. You don't know yet. So what carries you through that new relationship, that new rapport, that new connection is that energy of faith. Faith in what? Faith in the divine, faith with source, that non-physical part of you, right? How do you do that? Well, think about other relationships. If they're important to you, you invest time, energy, attention, you talk to them. There's communication. Talk to your divine. This is the same is true with your most significant relationship, which is the source of anything you can ultimately want anyway, right? So that sense of, if you have resistance, let's just say, in trusting, getting intimate emotionally and trusting, that's where the work is. Because how you do that relationship will be how you do your relationship with the divine. And that's just a growth point for you. That's a place of bringing the compassion, because normally, oh, that's a growth point. Let me go get some more coffee or more sugar, or let me worry more, or, oh, there's the problem. Even thinking there's a problem is a vice. Like everything, it's like, but the problem is everything's fine but what the problem is that's what I heard all the live long day with my mom. She still does that. There's no problem. Well, the problem is, she literally said this. It was hysterical. At Christmas Day, I had all of her favorites. We had cinnamon rolls and chocolate croissants and butter croissants and her coffee, and we had a quiche. And it was like, she's like, oh my God, all my favorite things. Oh, the problem is I'm not going to have, I'm like, how do you make a problem out of all your favorite things? That thinking that there's a problem, or waiting for that other shoe to drop, or feeling that you're separated from what ultimately your mind tells you that you can't have or be or do, that's also a vice. So practice today this moment in being with what triggers you, feel the trigger, feel the jolt. It's okay. And then detach from those triggers. So think of some of the things that may trigger you. Maybe it's a person triggers you. It's not even what they say or just the idea of them triggers you. Well, that's a trigger within you. It could be a trigger that you say to yourself. It could be a trigger of, I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough time. You're in lack, don't feel good. So what do you need to do to make yourself feel better that you don't have enough money, or that you don't have enough time, or that you don't have enough money, right? There's nothing wrong with devices that you've used, right? The only thing is understand that these tools are change. The cravings, the calling, the feeling of that is really a craving that you're having to return back to the only true thing that can fill you up. And when you're not filled up from energy, from divine, from essence, from that divine part of you, that's where we are blocking and limiting our amount of freedom and abundance and success and all that. So, for example, if you feel stuck in your life in creating money the way you want, or your relationship with your financial experience, look at your vices. If you're stuck in creating the relationship that you want, if you feel like, God, how come I don't have a partner? How come I have such a hard time in relationships? How come I can't attract the person I want? How come I'm married and I don't feel connected to the person I want? How come I can't leave the person? Wherever you feel stuck in your life, that feeling of I'm stuck, I'm powerless. Like, God, I've been at this, I love my life. I've been at this level with my business. Things are good. I have nothing to complain about, but it's like, I can't seem to get to that next level. Like even that level of, you wouldn't identify yourself as a victim because you're not, you're doing pretty well in life. But you have that conversation, the conversation of, I'm okay right now, but what about in 3 months or 6 months or a year? What about, oh my God, I'm okay now, but what about in 10 years? I mean, there's always a projection of something to worry about, but it's the energy, it's the habit of the worry. If you're stuck in creating the career that you want, look at your vices. If you turn inward and then turn upward, meaning get filled up from light. If you allow yourself to just get filled up with that energy of compassion, when you crave something, it's going to lead to a greater expansiveness, a greater expansion of yourself, a greater expansion of consciousness, awareness, and which then leads to a greater expansion into higher vibrations and frequencies. And then more good flows to you in your life because you're truly in an allowing space of what is already a gift for you, what is already crafted for you, which is, it's like it's already there. It's not about deserving the life that you want. It's about your willingness. It's about your willingness to heal. It's about your willingness to allow in the good that is your birthright, that was given to you long before you even took a step on the planet or crawled or wiggled out or whatever, where you took your first breath. It's all about your willingness, your willingness. Am I willing with my own free will and choice? Your willingness is energy moving. Your willingness to let go of reasons or excuses, your willingness to let go of those roles of being or feeling or just feeling stuck, feeling helpless in some area of your life, or feeling like, God, I feel blocked, right? There are payoffs that parts of you, not all of you, parts of you are staying stuck in. There's payoffs of staying in the lower vibrations. And we're going to go through those payoffs. It is your willingness to let go of those payoffs, meaning those reasons. Maybe it's to keep you safe. Maybe it's to allow yourself to be guarded. Maybe it's to allow yourself to not lose something. But if you just today have a willingness to let go of whatever the payoffs are, whether you're aware of them or not, to find new payoffs, today, write a list. This is the activity for today. This is actually a tool because you can start to add to your list whenever you have a craving, allow yourself to feel compassion for that, detach from it, and then write what good will happen if you let go of the reasons that you can't, or the limitations. Like if you were just willing to even release the limitations, the ones that you're aware of and not aware of, what good could happen if you do that? If you let go of lack, what good could happen? If you let go of worry, if you let go of the energy of worry, whatever you're worried about, money, person, doesn't matter. Worry's worry. It's a vibration. It's in the vibrational inner mix of you. That worry, if you shift that worry into faith, what good can come to you? And are you willing to allow that yourself to have that good? Because that's where we get into the law of polarity. From here on, we don't want to focus on the vices anymore. From here on, we're going to focus on what we want. Because with law of attraction, you want to focus on what you want. You want that to become the new reality. So even there's like a stepping stone. Remember, it's like instead of identifying myself years ago as a smoker, I went into I'm a non-smoker. And that's how I identified myself, as a non-smoker. At some point, I let go of the identification with a non-smoker and just became free. And became a spiritual seeker, became a, name something else. I like to do Pilates. I like to meditate. I focus on, financial this and creation of that. I don't even say to myself, I am a non-smoker. I am a non-smoker. That's not even part of my awareness anymore. And it kind of sounds silly for me to even do that. But in the beginning, I had to, because I wanted to identify not as the smoker. So what is that part of you? If you are no longer worrying, how do you identify yourself? How do you see yourself? That's the polar opposite. That's where polarity comes in, where if you see that of you, or you see yourself as someone that, for example, drinks, right? I remember, and this is something I wanted to share about a payoff. When I remember years ago, I used to be a party girl. And I know it's hard to believe. I know I've shocked all of you, but I would get drinking and I was funny. And I even had people tell me on several occasions, it's kind of funny to hear it, but you're really fun when you drink. What am I like when I don't drink? Right. So I was just the fun girl. And especially when I drank. And so when I would go out for dinners and things, I was like, well, of course I'm going to drink, and I would have so much fun, and the people around me would too, Cosmos and all that stuff. I haven't, and for over 4 years, it's like 4.5 years, right? And it wasn't like one day I went, I no longer want to drink. Drinking was part of a vice for me, wine, that sort of thing. And I just one day was just like, I have no desire. We went out for dinner and I'm like, I don't feel like having a glass of wine tonight. And I was with my cousin, and we always liked to drink together, and I was so much fun. And, and I'm like, yeah, right now in this moment, I just think I'm going to have a soda water, or like sparkling water. And I went, yeah, and a splash of cranberry. And then it was like, are you sure you're not going to have? I'm like, yeah, I just don't feel like drinking. And that's how it started. It was just, I felt my way into, I have a choice, just like I did with when I was a smoker and non-smoker. I didn't want to say you can't do it. We're going to get into all of that and how I detached and all that in the program, which starts tomorrow. However, when I was doing that, when I was saying to myself, hey, you could go ahead, you could smoke, your choice. We have to feel we have free will and choice, because that gives us power. So in that instance, it was like, for me, you could have it if you want, but I really felt like I don't want it. But as I started to have continuous dinners, that voice in the back of my head, you're so much fun when you drink. And so the thought of, I'm not going to be fun. What if they don't find me fun? Oh my God, what if I'm a bump on a log? Like what, that's so like my mom in my head, bump on a log. Do kids even say that these days? I don't even know that they know that expression, but to sit there and go, wow, what if they don't like me if I don't drink? Like all of that was in there. It was real. I had to pay attention to that. I had to let that part of me and those thoughts, those insecurities, if I don't do this thing, what am I going to lose? What am I going to give up? So be aware of that. But what are you going to gain? And for me, again, it's like, I didn't say I never didn't drink again. I'm not an alcoholic. It's not like I can't. I just don't feel like it. I just don't. For me, I feel so filled up in other ways. But it's not that I don't have vices. I have my tea right here with me. My iced tea, that's my vices. But I've given up a lot, and I just gave up fudge. So I'm working on that. I'm fudge free this whole challenge. I'm very, very proud of that. So, but the focus is on how to disconnect with that, how to disconnect from sugar, how to disconnect, giving up coffee, alcohol, lots of other things, smoking, even just smoking, through this process. And when I find that I'm attached to something too much, even tea, if I'm like, whoa, I had a couple too many today, I that's when I reel it back and go, what am I reaching for? Or what am I wanting that tea to give me that I'm not getting? And I let myself feel that energy of it. Because with polarity, it's important to understand that everything exists all at once. There's a front and a back. There's an in, there's an out. There's an up, there's a down. There's unity has polarity. Here on planet Earth, this is a universal law. And it's true also, it's universal because it's not just like an earth law like gravity, right? When you go in fourth and fifth and higher dimensions, when you go into an energetic field, there is no gravity. There's no time, there's no space. Here on planet Earth, in the physical bodies, in our humanness that we are in, there is gravity. Good to know. Going to go hiking, you don't want to walk off the side of the mountain because you'll splat, right? Don't go to the Grand Canyon and go too far over the edge because it's gravity. Good to know that so we can be safe. But it's also good to know there is the law of polarity. So if there is a feeling of darkness, there's also a feeling of lightness. In everything that exists, there are two poles or opposites or extremes of everything. So polarity represents two extremes of one thing, which is the same thing. For example, temperature, right? Temperature has extreme hot and it's got extreme cold. And temperature is the thing, but it's evidenced, it's manifested as two poles or opposites. So along this same thing, like a human that's without the life energy in us, we wouldn't be an alive human, we would be a deceased human. It would be a body. How do you know that that body is not dead but alive? Because there's movement, there's life in them, there's life. You are registering, you are hearing, your brain is thinking, you're feeling your way into energy. You are alive. And it's the extreme poles of that polarity. So we are both physical and we are metaphysical. And what's important about understanding the law of polarity, especially as it relates to vices, is that you have the ability to understand power of transformation just from this one law alone. Because by choosing to change your perception, even what is a perception? Perception is the picture, the images that we put inside of our minds. When you're perceiving something, your mind is active. You're thinking about it, but what are you thinking about? You're not thinking about words on a page. You're thinking about the pictures. So by choosing to change that picture, as my first book, Perfect Pictures, right? By choosing to see the picture you want in your mind, your perception, and therefore your resulting attitude, or another way of saying it is your emotions, your feeling, your mood, whatever that is, you change the image, it changes your mood. You shift your perception from something, ooh, that's bad, to that's good, or it's neutral. What if it's good? And this then becomes your new reality. So by seeking a higher frequency vibration of energy in this transformational process, where all you have to do is think of now what you want, this is what you don't, what's the polar opposite of this? If literally you can train your mind, and you can, because I have, and it's awesome when something happens and I'm like, what's the polar opposite of that? Like, what is the exact opposite of this? Because what happens is, even if you don't know the answer right away, if you're like, oh, lonely, I'm lonely, I feel really lonely. And you're like, what's the opposite of lonely? Your mind is starting to focus off of being lonely, and it's starting to think of pictures. It's starting to like register it's trying to think about what is the opposite of lonely. Well, surrounded by people, connected, laughing. And then now this image of you not being lonely, which is the opposite, comes into play. It's like, oh, that would be great. And then the mind goes, but you don't have that right now, right? And so it's then, but what's the opposite? What do you want that? Yeah, I would want that. Maybe not so many people. Maybe erase those people, a couple people, maybe a larger group of people, right? You get to create it based on your own preferences and design. And the choice made to put that new picture in, to shift that perspective, that decision, that changes now frequency, vibration, focus, which all of energy is here for you as the projector to focus. All of light, all the universe, everything starts to involve cause and effect, law of attraction, reaping what you sow. Depending on the choices you make in your responses, you raise your vibrations, and then everything positively changes to meet that polarity. So it's up to you to make a choice to change your perception and then the resulting attitude towards something or someone. Just as if it's up to you to create the life that you desire, right? So really quick, just something to leave you with, because we're going to play with this, go deeper with this tomorrow. Think about this as you are thinking about and detaching, getting to know your vice, right? Getting to know the energy. You're not judging it. You're letting yourself have compassion, but what is it you're getting out of it? What is it all of it, the whole, look at the whole totality of it. What's the benefit? What are the payoffs? So what is the payoffs? Is there something you avoid? Are you avoiding something? If so, what are you avoiding? Do you get to avoid responsibility? I know sometimes I'm like, I was like that with the puppy the other day. I'm like, oh, hell no, that you will fix that. I want to avoid responsibility. Right? It's like, I don't want any more responsibility. Full tilt, that's yours. You know, I didn't want to, you know, anyways, you could avoid love. You could avoid attention. You could avoid success. Taking responsibility, you know, even for how you feel about something, it causes you to feel bad for a moment. And you have to be able to feel that bad for a moment, that ouch, that processing of that energy, just for a moment, to take that responsibility and go, wow, I did that. Oof. Okay. Geez, I hurt that person. That I didn't mean to talk to him like that, you know, or whatever it is, and feel your way into this, the compassion of that. Let yourself come, and then take responsibility. Say a sorry, you know, make amends, change the perception, whatever it is for you to take responsibility, or whatever you need to learn from it or gain from it. But is there something you get to avoid? So write it down for yourself. You don't need to write it in the chat. That's very personal to you. Write it down. And are you avoiding something? Do you get to punish someone? Who do you get to punish if you punish yourself or if you hurt yourself? So these are just ways of thinking about, what are you getting out of it? Who do you punish? Who do I hold your love from? These are things to just dig into, but these are just to have awareness, because when you have that awareness, you get to then say, what's the polar opposite of that? If I'm wanting to, I don't want to push or try to hurt anybody. What I really want is, I want compassion. So give yourself that compassion. Back to how we started this, and the whole entire challenge is start with non-judgment. Allow yourself to feel a compassion. Allow yourself to start detaching from the energy, from the person, from the trigger, and ask yourself, what is the opposite of this? What's the polar opposite? If this was hot, what's the cold? If this was in, what's the out? If this was up, what's the down? If this is what I don't want, what do I want? Why do I want it? How do I want to feel? What is that essence? That essence is energy. It's all energy. So the essence is available to me now, for me, around me. It is me. It's breathing me. So compassion, and then what it is that you want. Maybe it's comfort. Maybe it's connection. Maybe it's you want to feel grounded or safe or secure or free. All of that's available right now. So I hope that these 7 days together, I've heard from many of you, and it just warms my heart to hear it, have made a difference. And I'm grateful that you've all been here with me, dedicated, because showing up for yourself and being in this energy and being in this conversation is critical to higher life. Because as you spiral up and you learn more tools and you have more awareness of how energy works and how it then becomes form, and how our connection to what we do, our consciousness, that is all in our own power. We have free will and choice. So appreciate all of you being here. Grateful for all of you that are continuing with us tomorrow. Be in a different place. You can always go to christywhitman.com/vice freedom to join us, and we'll see many of you tomorrow. Remember, compassion, if you take nothing away, that compassion is here for you right now to soothe you, to neutralize you, and counsel saying to remind all of you, and I'm not going to say it the way they say it, but you are infinitely loved. Bye, everybody.